So here we are at the beautiful medieval bridge that leads right into the heart of the historic centre of Prato. Through that medieval gateway that punctures the walls that still go right around the city of Prato, we'll enter into the historic heart of Prato. Located in northern Tuscany with around 200,000 inhabitants, Prato is Tuscany's second largest city after Florence, which is about 10 miles away. It's a very dynamic and business-oriented city with a thriving textile industry that's been the main activity here for about 1,000 years. The city has important historical and artistic attractions, with a cultural span that started 3,000 years ago with the Etruscans and then expanded in the Middle Ages and reached its peak with the Renaissance, when artists like Donatello, Filippo Lippi and Botticelli came to Prato. It continues today with contemporary art. Prato has the most important centre for modern art in Tuscany and some of the most important private collections in the whole of Italy. Let's take a walk around the historic city centre and pick out just a few of the landmarks that make Prato a hidden jewel of Tuscany. We'll also look at why the University of New Haven chose Prato as the centre for its first and only international campus. Let's begin our walking tour right here in the heart of town in Castle Square. The castle dates back to the 1230s and was built by the Emperor Frederick II, who was also King of Sicily. It's the only castle of its kind in all the cities in the whole of Tuscany, so it's a rare thing. The castle has survived really well, and our students go in and climb to the top of the walls whenever they like, and they get a great view up there of the whole of the city of Prato and Florence beyond. During the summer, the inside of the castle doubles as an open-air cinema. So we are going up the stairs of the castle in Prato. Okay, last few steps, and then we're up. And from the top, again, extraordinary view of the whole city of Prato. The church next door to the castle is the famous Renaissance church of Santa Maria delle Carceri. It was commissioned by the head of the Medici family, Lorenzo the Magnificent, in 1498, and it's considered a masterpiece of Renaissance architecture. Just 100 yards away, and now we're in the Piazza San Francesco, the home of the University of New Haven Tuscany campus. That's the campus, the big yellow building in front of us, flanking the far side of the square. It used to be a convent and was attached to the medieval church of San Francesco. Now it's our classrooms and a residence hall, and there's a beautiful rooftop terrace that runs the length of the building up on the top there. The church next door, San Francesco, is decorated very typically with this green and white stone, both of which are quarried locally in Prato. Inside the school complex is the beautiful cloister garden of the convent of San Francesco, an oasis of calm in a city of busy and lively streets. This is the Via Pugliese, a typical street in the middle of Prato. It's full of shops, cafes, restaurants, so it's very busy and lively, day and night. People live here too, it's a residential street. On this street, there are lots of cafes and restaurants, some of the 30 restaurants and eateries where our students can use their meal plan vouchers as well. So they get to live in a typical neighborhood like this, they get to know the local people, practice their Italian, and eat like Italians. There's so many interesting corners of this city. There's always something to see. Just across the street from the school is one of my favourite places in Prato. Around the world, this city is famous for its biscotti, or biscuits, which some people call cantucci. This is the shop, Mattei, where a local family invented them, and they've been making these amazing biscotti to an ancient recipe for over 200 years. The biscuits are made with almonds, flour, sugar, eggs and pine nuts, and absolutely no preservatives. In Prato, they're often served at the end of a meal with a glass of vin santo, which is a typical local dessert wine. And at the end of this street is the Piazza Comune, and this is the political heart of Prato. The yellow building beyond us there is the current City Hall, which is a 14th century building originally, and this huge medieval building right in front of us here with the raised staircase and the battlements on the top is the Palazzo Pretorio that used to be the courthouse in the Middle Ages, and now it's the wonderful Civic Museum of Prato. So all the great artworks of Prato are in there. One of the great things about studying abroad in Prato is that I can take students inside museums like this and bring them face to face with paintings and sculptures from the Middle Ages and the Renaissance period, and maybe for some of them it's the first time they've done that. So these are magical moments. Prato's got some very interesting fountains, including this one in the Piazza Comune, depicting Bacchus, a bronze statue of the little god of wine. Of course, grapes and wine are a massive component of the local tradition and industry. At the end of this street is the Cathedral Square, or Piazza Duomo, considered the real heart of the city, and this is where we find the cathedral. It's very old, it's dedicated to St. Stephen, and it's full of exceptional artworks. The most important object inside this church is a relic, which according to religious tradition is the Virgin Mary's belt. The presence of the belt in Prato attracted so many pilgrims and people from around the world that throughout the last 1,000 years, this is a church that could always afford the work of the most celebrated artists. Donatello and Michelozzo from Florence, for example, built the unique external pulpit, and that pulpit is still used for the display of the Virgin Mary's belt 5 times every year. Here's the Bishop of Prato, a couple of years ago, presenting the girdle to the crowds in the Piazza Duomo. Well, we didn't have long, but I really hope you enjoyed this quick tour of the city of Prato. Study abroad is an exciting experience for students. It's transformative. It's also a challenging time. And the city of Prato has allowed us to create a safe, supportive environment. The city feels a little like a campus community to the students as they get to know local people so well. Whether it's in their voluntary work, their internships, or teaching English at local high schools, students after a semester in Prato feel like the city has become a second home, and they make friendships here that last for a lifetime. The city is also very well connected. There are 3 railway stations from where you can get to Florence in half an hour, to the beach in an hour, and to the rest of Italy and Europe because we're so close to some very good airports. So maybe it's this combination of traditional and modern, of Italian and European, that is the secret to the riches that students get out of this experience. We are, of course, living at the moment in a very kind of virtual world, and this was a virtual tour of Prato. But I hope it gave you Some information, it gave you a taste of the streets and the monuments and the lifestyle of Prato, and give you a good sense of what the University of New Haven offers its students during their semesters abroad.